So language belongs to both the individual and society, but we recognize the relationship is different. Language does belong to the individual, it does belong to society, but we now know quite a bit deeper, the significance of that claim. It belongs to the individual, but the individual doesn't create language. The individual lives within language. It belongs to society, but society is conditioned by the language that they accept, in a sense, right? And then we saw the relationship between the individual and society in transforming the language, and I'll get deeper into that later. What you can recognize at this point is that once I identify something within my language that points directly to me, or a population of my marginalized in the sort of Freirean sense, marginalized community, I can use my understanding of semiotics to transform how people identify me as a being, as a person. We haven't quite gone through all the steps, but we will. That's where we're headed. We're headed in that direction. There's no discernible unit for measuring language. I mean, obviously. And he means language as a structure. Obviously, he's not denying, Saussure is not denying the role of tag memes within semiotics. He's well aware of sort of the role of tag memes and the basic sort of structures, fundamental structures within linguistics. But as the structure, there isn't this one way, this one method, if you will, to describe semiotics, which is precisely why Peirce was able to, sort of discuss iconography, icons, and all of that in his account. As a consequence of its inherent historical situatedness, and then the self-contained whole. I don't remember what I meant by the self-contained whole, page 10. Self-contained whole. Self-contained whole, I don't know what that means. Oh, well, probably, I don't remember what that means. God, I don't even know where that is. Oh, I don't know where that is. It's rare that that happens. The self-contained whole. I'd have to read. I should have gave myself a note. Self-contained whole, page 10. Oh, probably. Oh, okay. And then I drew the picture. Okay. Yeah. So, sorry. It's rare that that happens. The self-contained whole. It is this sort of enclosed system. Saussure calls it the self-contained whole. And what does he mean? We have the community that posits the language, and the linguist that analyzes the language. So as long as we have a community and we have a linguist, then we have this process. It's contained. That's what he means, right? So the linguistic community posits the language. This language is used to do many, many things, as we've seen, including, unfortunately, homogenize power and also marginalize individuals in its bad form. That's what I was interested in. That's what initially brought me to semiotics, is the use of language as an abuse of power, as probably the greatest abuse of power, right? It's Hitler's language that was so intoxicating, right? It's the cult leader's language that is so enticing, right? It's the language that you can manipulate and use that can make things really, really bad. And what I was interested in, there's this quote, well, that sort of concludes the lecture, but as a quick last point, there's an interesting, I think it was Superman, said, absolute, how's it go? I forgot the power quote. It was like, those who have power, I forget what the quote was. It was Superman, but it was this, or Spider-Man, it was this cool quote that they had about power. I forget how the quote went. But then I thought about power in terms of what I do, genocide scholarship, and in terms of what I do with respect to semiotics. I recognize that in order to get people to do heinous acts, you have to make sure that you have a language that is conducive to, and I'm not going to get into this now, a language that is conducive to the propagation of heinous acts. And for me, as a genocide scholar, and I don't mind sharing this with the community because it's a free-for-all all the while, as a genocide scholar, power, as manifest evilly, as manifest in violence, is always to be understood not in terms of control, but in terms of how many people I specifically have that are willing not to die for me, but that are willing to kill for me, right? I got 12 homeboys that'll kill you. I'm pretty powerful. You have 50 homeboys that'll kill me. That's pretty powerful. Leaders of the free world have, I don't know what they have. 200,000 people that'll kill for them, right? The whole point is, in some sense, we've equated this idea of power with, at its absolute form, as far as I'm interested in how many people are willing to kill for me, right? So Charles Manson was very, very powerful in manipulating people because he had so many people that were actually willing to kill for him. Semiotics will allow us to understand how you control a person like that. This is the whole Manchurian Candidate idea, right? And when you really get deep, when you get to the real abyss where we're going, I'm going to teach you guys how to do this. That would be immoral. I do understand how to do it, but I wouldn't teach you how to do it. But there is a way in which you can systematically analyze the language that is used by Hitler and Jim Jones and Applewhite or Applegate, whatever his name was, and all these various, and Charles Manson and all these various psychopaths. You can look at the language that they use and extrapolate from the language the meaning and the context and see how that meaning and that context was used to control people. And there's been a lot of great studies, obedience to authority, and a lot of Zimbardo's work. A lot of this has looked at sort of cognitive abilities, but there really is grounds, very fertile grounds for semioticians to look at the role of hate speech as a terms of social control and power and the manipulation and abuse of power. And Foucault did this. So with that being said, I think now you have a clear understanding of the gravity of the situation, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. I will continue the discussion in the next series. With that, I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell. Goodbye.